I'm a little bit nervous about interviewing my boss, but not as nervous as the time that I wrote the article for Fairways magazine saying that Randy Dodson was going into the Utah Golf Hall of Fame. Because I was quite convinced that while he is normally a pretty soft-handed editor, not changing a lot of words or moving things around, which writers appreciate, I was pretty convinced that he was going to take my article about him and make himself sound worse because he's so humble. But so I was quite relieved to know that he left it pretty much intact. Some people would take those words and make themselves look better, but that absolutely was not going to happen with Randy.
For many reasons.
What's interesting to me, Randy, is that a lot of people in this room probably think it would be fun to start a golf magazine or do something in the golf business, but you came into golf as a magazine subject from the other direction, basically from the advertising world. Do you kind of marvel now?
You've seen me play.
You've also improved considerably in these 30 plus years of being a golf magazine publisher. But what is it about golf that got inside of you and made it ultimately your life's work?
Well, that's a good question. And I don't want to say it was by accident, because that would not give credit to a lot of people. But yeah, I've come from an advertising, sales, and marketing background and was working for the original publisher who owned the contract with the Utah Golf Association, Peter Evans, who was publishing Utah Business at the time. And when we picked up the agreement with Joe Watts and the Utah Golf Association to publish what became Fairways magazine, it was very apparent to me that it was a lot more fun than Utah Business magazine. And the people were a lot more fun. And so when the opportunity came to purchase Fairways, yeah, I jumped at the chance. Not really being a writer or a publisher, but coming from a sales background. But I was willing to dig in. Yeah, my golf game has come a long way and still has a long way to go. But it's been a pleasure, really, and a career of a lifetime for me.
What is it about the Utah golf community that has made you enjoy being such a part of it, and who are some of the key figures over the years who have helped you become immersed in it?
That's a good question. First, before that list is long, but before I mention a few, and I really need to give credit to my wife. As we all know, golf is golf is a slow play, and that's not always easy to those that are at home waiting on those that are involved in the game. But she has been a champion from the very beginning. I'm sure she's complained to our children who are all here at our table, but she very, very rarely has said anything to me directly about the time it takes. But as I thought about this question when I was in the office today about those that have really made this happen, it occurred to me that nearly all of them are in the Utah Golf Hall of Fame. Whether they're administrators like Joe Watts, or players, or media, or whatever. And it's been great to associate with that group of people, and hopefully I've learned something from them. I remember, and it's ironic that today was the final round of the Utah-Arizona shootout, which Team Utah won, by the way. I can remember the very first really big event that Fairways Media had to attend was a Utah-Arizona shootout dinner prior to the competition. And Mike Sorensen, who's here, I don't know where he is, there he is. Mike Sorensen, I was fortunate enough to sit right next to him, and he leaned over to me, and I didn't know Mike well then, and he said, "What makes you think you can publish a golf magazine?" And I honestly don't remember what I said, because I probably didn't have a good answer anyway. But, you know, in addition to those Hall of Fame and future Hall of Fame members, you know, we've been extremely lucky in Utah that we've had golf media people like yourself and Mike Sorensen and Dick Harmon, who's also here somewhere, and have allowed me to pay you guys pennies in order to publish a golf magazine for the state. So the list of people is just too long to get into, but it's significant.
And what is it about the game of golf that has made this career so rewarding to you?
It's 100% the people that are involved. You know, we are lucky, as I've learned over the years, that our allied associations, the Utah Golf Association, the Utah Section PGA, the Utah Junior Golf Association, and the Superintendent Association even talk to each other when you compare to other states. So it's always the people, and I learned that very quickly from Jeannie Goddard, who's a Hall of Famer, Joe Watts, Scott Whitaker, and Jeff Beaudry, and those people, those administrators that have run those associations. I hope Garrett and I are a part of that group and looked on as to what makes Utah golf hum.
Well said. And let's all now thank Randy for keeping me employed and for a great career that has made him a Utah Golf Hall of Fame member. Randy Dodson.
Before I walk off, I need to thank a couple people that are here tonight. Ann Sundstrom, when Garrett and I got together, we needed someone like Garrett to obviously design the magazine. And we had a contract firm in place with the UGA and with Jeff Beaudry and Scott Whitaker and Devin with the PGA. But in order to make things work, we needed a handful of advertising clients. And Ann Sundstrom, Ann, will you stand up, please? Ann is the Southern Nevada Golf Association Executive Director and a Hall of Famer herself, and right next to her is Eric Dutt, who was, when I think we first met. Eric, will you stand? Eric's got a coat on, and he told me he doesn't do that for anybody. But Eric was at Rio Seco and Cascada and now Reflection Bay, and now he lives in Camas and will be working with Marcella. But those two people, and when Garrett and I started what is now Fairways Media, it was Ann who was our first real client, and she still is. And I just want to thank them for being here. And thank Garrett. Garrett, will you stand? Everybody knows Garrett. Stand up, Garrett, or I'll fire you. Garrett, everybody knows Garrett. He's been behind the camera, and he is the heartbeat of absolutely everything that we do. So thank you, Garrett.
Thanks again, Randy.